Before we dive into today's episode, I've got some exciting news. FutureLab, Australia's first longevity supplement range, is now available at Chemist Warehouse and leading health food stores. Now, this is a lot more than a regular supplement range. It really is a mission. The experts at FutureLab have developed formulas designed to support your well-being today, tomorrow, and beyond. Hi, and welcome back to FutureLab podcast. I'm Danny Urbinder, and with me is our host, Trevor Hendy.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's good to be back. I love being with you guys, and we've got a wonderful guest today.
We do
so I'm
indeed.
looking forward to this.
Yes, and Dr Denise Furness.
Hello everyone. I am really looking forward to this podcast today to learn myself as well.
Well, I am too, because we already started having the conversation that should be on the podcast. At the risk of repeating ourselves, we won't. We want to go in deeper, but we have Donna Aston with us today. And many of you would know Donna Aston. She's certainly developed a program that many people would be familiar with. She's an expert in metabolic health and weight management. She's the founder of Aston Rx, which is a science-based program focused on metabolic health. I could go on with your very extensive bio, but perhaps, Donna, welcome.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll let you tell your story and how you got to where you were and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I started as an overweight teenager. I was actually about 25 kilos heavier than I am now.
Right.
Wow.
And I tried everything. I tried gyms. I had the attention span of a sparrow. And I eventually found a serious strength training gym and started training and found not only did I like it, but I was actually pretty good at it. And I started to feel great just doing strength training. So I transformed my body to then start doing fitness competitions. So I was pretty extreme. I went from almost 40% body fat down to about 5 over a 2-year period.
As a female.
As a
Very
female.
low.
A place that most people have never got to.
Did you stop getting your menstrual cycle?
No.
Oh, you must have been doing
yeah.
it relatively well then, getting the
I was.
nutrients you need.
Yeah, I was. And it was a big learning curve. And in doing that, I started to realise how much misinformation was available and how many people were really struggling. And so I studied nutrition at Deakin. I also, started doing personal training and coaching. And I realised through the training that I was doing with people that nutrition was such a huge part of it, and it was always my passion. And so I started studying it further. I ended up writing and publishing about 6 books, and all of it was about changing your perspective and having a trusted source of information.
Yeah.
I then started working with clients privately for quite some time, and the thing that was happening over and over again with everybody was that, they just couldn't stick with it long term. And they'd always blame themselves and blame it on having no willpower. And these are people who had incredible willpower in their life in so many areas. And I thought, well, it doesn't make sense. They've achieved so much in their life. Why is this their sticking point? So I, before COVID, travelled the world and spoke to a lot of different scientists and a lot of different people in this area and put together a program that incorporated many aspects of metabolic health and also things that our biology that really affects our behaviour. And so I put all of this together in a program and I started delivering it privately with clients, and the results were like I'd never seen, and they were also really shocked at what they were able to achieve. So I thought, do I write book number 7 or do I create an online platform? And I decided on the online platform because it's an area that's ever evolving. It requires an enormous amount of support and guidance, and it allows me to continue updating and working with people while sort of sharing all of this knowledge with them as well. So that's where Aston Rx came in.
I'm just wondering, as you're saying all that, because there's a lot of stuff that you have done since the day that you lost that 25 kilos in the gym to where you are now. But you were clearly successful in the gym. So what is it that you did that was successful, and what would you have changed what you did then to what you would do now?
I started doing basically what everybody else was doing, which was like the old low fat, not eating enough food, exercising like a crazy woman.
And you still had your period. That's amazing.
I started doing all
Mine
of that.
disappeared. That's why I asked from personal experience.
Yeah. And I realised that I didn't feel good, and I was getting really run down. My pathology wasn't good, and I felt like rubbish. I looked good, but I felt like rubbish. And I thought there has to be another way. And so that's when I started researching. I did it the wrong way because that was sort of the way everybody did it.
That's what you thought.
And
I
then
need to
That's
eat
the way the
less
world
and
works.
exercise
Do it the
more.
wrong way first.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just thought there has to be a better way. I have to be able to nourish my body and allow it to go through this process without depriving it so much. So that's where my curiosity was piqued from making all the mistakes the first time. And then I just made it my mission to let everybody know that you don't have to do that.
Absolutely.
Love that. I love it when life works that way, that we make those mistakes, but then it rolls back into a passion or an enthusiasm to make sure other people don't do the same thing. I remember a moment when someone helped me release something deep emotionally that I'd never come across, that you could even do that. As soon as I went, I could release that, I want to help other people release that, because I tried everything to release it. I think that's a beautiful inbuilt mechanism in life, that people stumble into their purpose by something they've struggled with and then discovered a way through. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So nice that you are providing this information, because obesity and chronic illness linked with metabolic disorders is, that's one of our biggest issues, if not the biggest health issue here in Australia, in most countries. But doing it in a healthy way, because I have a similar story in the sense of when I was, younger too. I wasn't overweight as a child, but in my early 20s at uni sort of discovered running, and then it was everyone commenting on how good I looked. I became a bit obsessed, and then I ate less, and then next thing you knew, there was sort of serious injuries and an autoimmune disease. But looking back, just what I put my body through, and it's
and from wanting to be liked or loved or acknowledged, like these core root principles. I just want to be seen,
So on the outside, you look great.
Apart.
People are like, you look fantastic, but actually very unhealthy on the inside. And I wasn't doing bloods then. Like you said, your pathology wasn't good. But without a doubt, mine wouldn't have been good. I mean, I went on and got sick. So you're doing it in a way where people can be losing weight, improving health, but also then metabolically, all of those markers are in check, not depriving themselves.
So you did it the wrong way when you started. What did you learn? What is the right way? What are the principles here?
So I guess we do everything the inverse of what most people do. So globally we're told that we need to eat less and we need to move more. Everybody's telling us that. Doctors are telling us that. The government's telling us that. That's the message. And it's wrong.
Right. Okay.
We start there. If you wanted to be really hungry for a meal, let's say you had a huge Christmas dinner coming up, what would you do? You'd probably exercise in the morning, and you'd probably not eat as much that day to make yourself hungry so you could eat a big meal. So what are we told to do? We're told to eat less and exercise, so it makes us really hungry. And then we're told to eat a low-fat meal high in carbohydrates, which is going to spike our insulin high, which is going to make us more hungry. And so it's this ongoing cycle. Then we kick ourselves in the head for doing it wrong. But we're following the wrong advice. So we work on educating people about their metabolic health. We start by lowering your insulin levels. And once we achieve that, not only is your appetite regulated and you automatically just eat the right foods and the right quantities, but also your body can now access stored fat for the purpose it put it there, which is a source of fuel. And yes, fat loss happens if that's necessary. Not everybody needs to lose weight who does our program. There's some that just sort of looking at energy and sleep and reducing inflammation and a whole host of other health things. But rather than focusing on the weight is really a symptom of poor metabolic health. Yeah. So it's like if your car had smoke pouring out of the bonnet, you can stand there and fan it away as long as you like. Right, that's like your weight. But you need to pop the engine and find out where it's coming from, and that's what we do.
So you mentioned...
I love that, by the way. That's great.
Yes.
That the body then sort of learns to adapt to start using stored fat as fuel to burn into that. Why can't we do that in the first place?
Are you talking about a ketogenic diet? Can I ask?
It's not something we focus on. Sure, if you're burning fat, some of it will be turned into ketones. So yes,
It's an end
there is
result
some,
as opposed to the focus.
but it's not our focus is not
You're not
to
measuring
being
ketones.
ketosis. No.
Yeah.
It's not actually even necessary to get the results, but yes, it can happen if people are having gaps between meals and eating lower carb and burning fat. Yes, they can be producing some ketones.
But it's not necessarily, which I think is good, and I'm probably jumping ahead here, but there's some of the things I'm looking forward to asking you today, because when I was in the US, if you know Stacey Sims last year, she was actually saying a ketogenic diet is not good for perimenopausal and menopausal women. You know, sometimes we have these diets and you get stuck on certain things. So, but at the same time, you do get a lot of fat loss with that. You need to get into those sort of states. So, yeah, I don't know, do you have a way that you describe the dietary interventions, or even that initial phase where you start to balance, the insulin for your clients?
When people talk about a ketogenic or keto diet, it's very broad. Like, it doesn't really describe anything. So, that can mean, for example, in the US, quite often that's just eating slabs of bacon and butter
Yes.
and no vegetables, and it doesn't matter if it's trans fat, doesn't matter what sort of fat or
And
protein
you can eat as
it
much
is.
as you want.
Yeah,
And you
don't
just-
worry about your microbiome. You don't need any of those plant foods. Yes.
So it can be very extreme, but that's a diet that's probably not healthy, but it doesn't mean that producing ketones is unhealthy. So it's really a different thing. So when everyone says keto, because they don't know much about it, they think it's all lumped into one, and it's not. So we don't focus on that at all. So our goal is to give people optimal nourishment, to eat with your circadian rhythm, to optimize sleep, to optimize your microbiome health, all the while reducing inflammation and educating people on why this is happening. So many people who start the program have the catalyst is always to lose weight, because that's what you can see, right? You can see on the outside if your jeans are a bit tight, or you're gaining a bit of weight, or the scales are going up. They can't see their blood. They can't see their liver. They can't see their microbiome. So they don't know that these things are happening. We educate them on that, and then they'll say things like, wow, I've had reflux for 20 years, it's gone. Or my knees, within 5 days, they don't hurt anymore, and I've had like pain in my knees for 10 years.
The
And they
inflammation's gone.
They accept all of these adverse things happening as just a part of aging. It's just, I did a lot of sport when I was younger, and we can justify all these things, but they're not normal. They're common, but they're not normal.
It almost sounds like we had a guest in recently, and we were talking about that. What's normal and what's not normal,
Yeah,
and
normal
also what
versus
people
natural.
put up with. So she was saying she had a car accident, or no, train. She was in a train accident. It was quite serious, but the amount of pain she was going through, and would, at that point just pop painkillers and thought, well, this is my life. But then getting into, she became a naturopath and seeing, physical healers, osteopaths going, wow, there's actually this other way. But sometimes people don't know. They just accept this pain or these metabolic changes.
Normal versus
And
natural.
the reality is there's so much we can do with diet and lifestyle to mitigate a lot of this.
An enormous amount. And not only that, but you can change your blood pathology, you can change your microbiome, you can and when we show people that they can do that, it's not just aesthetic. It's not just what you can see on the outside. It's actually a lot deeper than that.
So if all these symptoms are common, they're not normal, they're not healthy, but a big percentage of the population suffer from the same symptoms, what is the common element in terms of what they're doing wrong in their diet?
Well, going back to, trying to eat less and
So that's
exercise
it.
more is one.
So, but they're a group of people that are trying to lose weight. There are a whole lot of people that are just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. What are they? And they've got those symptoms as well.
Stress is a big one.
Yeah.
Really poor sleep is another one. There are so many lifestyle things that we're doing. There's environmental issues. There's all sorts of issues. We could go on forever about all of those that contribute. But
All the endocrine disrupting chemicals. Yes.
Of course.
Can you quickly give us the stress one then? So tell us just take the stress one. How is that likely to show up in